Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with my boys, Kyle and Petey. And today we're bringing what? Snyder Cut review to you guys. Say what's up, guys.
Ready to rock, people. How's everybody doing?
What's up?
Okay, so we assume that you've already seen the Justice League movie, and therefore you have seen the DC, the new Snyder Cut, this optimal exploration of the Snyderverse, So I'm going to go into it with my boys. Hey, Petey, give us a brief synopsis of what we've seen, just so that people who haven't seen it understand what's going on.
If you didn't see the first,
why the Snyder Cut versus the Whedon Cut, as we should call it?
There's no Whedon Cut.
All right, there's a theatrical version, and then there's this longer version that we see now. The first one, it was sort of trimmed, and we didn't get to see a main character, which would be Darkseid. Now, it does feel like some things were changed, but ultimately, in this thing, we have a longer piece with more scenes, hinting the scenes that we've seen set up in Batman v Superman that we didn't get to see any of in this film. And the other one was sort of a happier ending. This one left you with a question at the end, but it's very much longer. Each scene is way longer. There was the stuff they trimmed.
No criticism. Just a quick.
I didn't say that it was not a criticism. I'm saying they trimmed some stuff, but they extended a lot of scenes. So it's a 4-hour thing, and it's sort of a see where it goes, because it ended on a note where things are kind of closed off, or it could be open, sort of a cake and eat it too. So it's different in the sense of tone, and some of the scenes have different motivations or different resolutions.
So what about you, Cal? I hazard to guess, what was your thought of the major differences between the Whedon Cut and the true cut, the Snyder Cut itself?
There's no Whedon Cut, all right? We're going to be bickering all day if we get this. It's the same movie. There's no Whedon Cut. Right? The backstory on this was that the film that we saw in the theater, this was supposedly 80% of what Snyder filmed, and then Whedon added like another 20% to get it to the theater. Then I was reading some article in Variety, and Snyder says, no. What you saw in the theater was more like 25% of what I did, and then the rest of that's Josh Whedon. So I'm, okay, so let me see the full cut then. When you see the full cut, it's more like 95% of what you saw in the theaters was everything that Snyder did. And then you come and see Whedon add like another 5% here around the edges. That's Zack Snyder's film. When you see the Snyder Cut, it's longer. There's more scenes, okay? But everything you saw in the theaters is exactly what you saw in the Snyder Cut. Okay, you can see the stuff that Whedon added, and to be quite honest, it's not that much. So to call it the Whedon Cut is just disingenuous at this point.
Well, thank you for that. I think, to me, from reviewing this movie, I think there's been a substantial difference in the two cuts. Yes, it was a bit longer, and there definitely have some pacing issues. But in terms of giving us the backstory, fuller understanding of characters, that Whedon in his cut was able to remove.
You're gonna keep calling it the Whedon Cut, right? You're gonna keep serving it up, so I'm gonna keep swinging at it, right? Come on, it's the same stuff. How can you call one the Whedon Cut and one the Snyder Cut?
So, continuing, like I said, we see more of a backstory, particularly with some of the characters that we did not get the same type of information from, such as Cyborg, Flash, and even a little bit more for Aquaman, who's of course badass in this movie. And you felt as though you lost out on some of this stuff in watching the original Snyder Cut.
Dude, I would disagree. I'm going to disagree with Cal too. Some things
ground rules
clearly changed.
Started, gentlemen.
Some things are clearly changed, because the whole Darkseid and anti-life equation.
I haven't even got a chance to that.
No, I'm just saying, there's some things where they said after the fact, hey, instead of what they saw, let's show them this stuff. And I'm not saying as a glowing endorsement of it. Not at all, but it's just like, hey, instead of Batman bringing the big guns, let's have this thing. Let's have what's the name? Lois walking around looking for soup and donuts. Well, like I noticed this nice donut shop. Oh, I know this. Oh, there's an explosion in the background. Maybe I should walk back. It's like totally unnecessary.
Look, I mean, I'm not sure what you're trying to get, but we clearly see from the reaction from the fans that this was something that people wanted to see. This is something that people really wanted to go out and have background. Getting a call.
No, that's my computer. It's still acting up.
Yeah, I'm saying clearly that there was a huge demand, pent-up demand. In fact, I mean,
why are you delaying us talking about it with all this other stuff? Yes.
Yeah, and you're over here pussyfooting around. Okay, are we going to review the film or not?
This is better. This is better. A lot of people saying that this is the Wonder Woman we should have got. We already got this one in the first time they showed it. And nobody was saying anything at that point about it. They just say, oh, these okay Wonder Woman scenes. So what do you want to do? You want to get into it? What do you say? What did you like? And then we'll trash you afterwards. So say what you like and we'll trash you afterwards.
Well, before I was really interrupted by you, I was trying to explain to you that there were some differences, and some of those differences were meaningful and important and helped to set up and the story. I mean, one of the things we've been talking about for a while has been Ray Fisher, and we'll come back to this a little later. But clearly, there was a difference in how he was treated in the movie and where his character stood. We also have, like I said,
I can't believe you did that. I can't.
And then, Darkseid. I mean, one of the key protagonists in the movie. He comes off. He gets cut totally out, basically, in the Whedon cut. And I'm like, come on, man. How can you not have? It's like taking out Thanos out of the Infinity War. Basically, it's not that you can't do things like that. So I'm glad we had this meeting, the Snyder Cut, and so I'm going to pass it on to you guys. And
that's what you liked. What did you like about it?
I just told you some of the scenes I thought were important and critical in helping to understand what we saw originally in Justice League. And I think that this is the thing. If you're a big fan of DC, if you're a big fan of some of these characters, I think you should go out. You do see.
You're just playing around right now.
So Cal, what do you like?
Let's talk about the big change of having the old war, having Darkseid come down, set up the anti-life equation, and then getting his butt kicked and sent packing. He got beat so bad he forgot that he dropped the anti-life equation on Earth.
Yep. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that Darkseid needed to show up at all for this fight. You would think if he showed up at all, that should have been the end. That should have been the end of it, because these guys were able to. You only needed 6 Leaguers, and to be quite honest, they're not as powerful as that group over there. The only difference was Darkseid. You're telling me that they only needed 6 dudes? So there's a lot of stuff in terms of look. Bottom line, this is the same film. Okay, this is the same film. The idea that somehow, if you had put this film, what we saw of the Zack Snyder cut, the idea that if we had made this 2 films, okay, and put that in the theater, and that would have been more successful than what we saw in the theaters, is completely disingenuous, because we already saw it in the theater. Okay, there's some changes when you go for the theatrical version. Superman's not in a black outfit. They tried to throw in some human moments there. They tried to throw in he tried to throw in some humor there, Whedon as director. But the majority of that is Zack Snyder's film. So the idea that somehow it would have been more successful if you took out, the 10%, or I'll even go as far as 20% that you saw in the theater, you saw it already. And the result was you didn't like it. Okay, nobody said, well, you know what? All these pieces right here make a good film, but these pieces don't. No, the whole film was slated as not being good, but 80% of that was Zack Snyder's film. Now we get to see 4 hours of it, and somehow this is magically better. This is the equivalent of taking spoiled milk, putting it back in the refrigerator, and saying, let me come back in a week and see if it's fresh. You can't do that. Okay. It's completely disingenuous.
Let me say one thing.
Is totally different, and that's the difference there.
We got to go back to what the exercise is. The exercise of a director's cut or a Snyder cut is that usually there's not much difference, right? the what Cal is saying, yes, that people saying that this would have fixed, say, made millions. Maybe it would have, who knows? But the thing is that it isn't that much. It's just an exercise, just like Alien or The Abyss or any of these things where it's mostly the same movie, though they went a little too far because some of the scenes I liked, like the Amazon scene, like the first Wonder Woman scene, was just very long and boring now. It's like the thing was cut, the Amazon was cut nicely. Moved. What's the name comes, moved. This one is like, hey, we're still in this thing. Like, get out of there. Close it. Yes, no, you want me to close it? Yes, seal it. Yes. I'm like, stop. Get out of there. But the exercise is, and that's where I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot. Because like the same way people look at the first Alien, when they see the director's cut and they see the captain tied up and he's about to, he's gonna hatch an alien. And then people look at it and say, well, he can't because that wasn't the queen. And it's like, no, this is the first movie and they decided for time we're gonna cut this thing. It didn't change the movie, but it changed our perception of the alien when we looked at it at that point, when they weren't just coming here to kill, they're coming to sort of spread more aliens. And they got there and they decided, you know what, this is just slasher film, the people, and they had a cut that they liked. So this is in the same lane as that. But at the same time, they chickened out. If you're gonna do your freaking Snyder Cut, and we know why they decided not to do it, because they said the studio's like, we can't end on the cliffhanger. How are we gonna end this on the cliffhanger? They're not gonna come back. We're gonna kill everybody. We're gonna end on the dark future. And then they saw Infinity War and they're like, oh, we can end on a dark future and we're gonna line it up for the next movie and they'll come back. And then they say, you know what, we can't fire our studio execs. So they say, so you gotta give me money and we'll trash Josh Whedon. We will destroy his career. We will make him into nothing just so they can do another cut, which we know is not gonna be substantially different. But then they added in those nutty Darkseid getting stabbed up by Ares to make Ares seem like, I guess it was Ares he was fighting. He gets stabbed up by Ares and he's out of there. And then he goes back and it's just like, yo, you came to Earth. Don't anyone have any plans or the plotting of the ship that you went to Earth? No, he totally forgot. He put the anti-life equation there. And it changed a lot. I'm going on too long. But I think they kind of chickened out in the thing of, if you're going to do the Snyder Cut, just end on the dark future and not try to end on, oh, it's a dream sequence.
But it did end on a dark future in the epilogue.
No, it didn't. He had a dream.
The end, it was not a dream. It was the epilogue. Is it just a dark future? Remember.
He woke up. You saw him wake up. So it's like if they don't do it, it's like, oh, it was just a dream.
He said,
it was all a dream.
The dark side said, let's go do it the old-fashioned way, basically. So they said, gather the man or gather the armada, and that's what they stuck. And then we go see the epilogue, where we see what happened. He's come to Earth, he's destroyed Earth, he's taken over Earth, and we have Batman and the Joker chillaxing together, shooting the breeze.
They do the Morrison joke in there, the reach around.
So it's all there,
That's a Morrison joke?
From what's that thing? Arkham Asylum. He grabs someone behind and says, "Close Batman a tight ass." In Arkham Asylum.
So the point of the matter is, there is a kind of a cliffhanger ending, or what happens next in the epilogue. So it's not like a solid hard cut. We see they win the battle, but do they win the war? Okay, and we have that meeting from what Flash goes to the future to tell our friend Batman. We also see how he starts to manipulate time and that he was able to survive this. And there will be spoilers here where he was able to go back in time, change everything at the very end. Okay, so going to you, Cal, I'd like to see, what were your thoughts of the movie?
You just passed it to me?
I said Cal.
No, it didn't sound like you finished.
I'm biting my tongue because I'm so sad. I'm kind of shocked that I'm giving it to you right now. But, being that I'm...
Well, what did you expect? I'm going to watch this movie and pussyfoot around this. This is the culmination. This began with the film that I was extremely critical of and I didn't enjoy. Okay, then we get to this film, and of course, I'm the Superman fan here. So what am I primarily going to be looking for? I'm gonna look to see how Superman is treated. Now, mind you, the theatrical cut, I was shocked that they actually let Superman act as much like traditional Superman as he did. When he shows up at the end, I was a little miffed. I was like, oh, guys could have done this from the first movie. But he seems to be a bit more jovial. He's more of the recognizable hero that we know. Lighter suit. Okay, lighter. He's lighter in terms of demeanor. He's lighter in terms of his overall color palette. He's actually saving some people. I was like, okay, cool. But you could have done this already. And I said, that's a shame because this is pretty much this is the end of the road for Henry Cable. We're not going to see too much. Then I get to see the Snyder Cut. When I see the stuff that he's doing in here, I'm like, okay, you didn't learn anything. You didn't learn anything from the previous films. This guy, his main concern is still one person, and that's Lois Lane. You don't see him save a single solitary person. This guy just shows up to punch Steppenwolf the hardest. You guys can't do it. Don't worry. I can beat this dude down for you. And then I'm going to set Wonder Woman up for the decapitation. Yay, go team. To show how, then they sit there and they're just posing at the end of the time. If you enjoy Justice League, you're going to enjoy this film because you got more. And that's what a lot of exponents of Snyder wanted. They wanted more. Okay. They wanted to fill the rest of the synapses, and they were already digging it from the first. If you like Man of Steel, you loved this film because this is exactly the same stuff that you got there. There's no pesky people to worry about. There's just abandoned buildings and abandoned space, and these guys can just bump heads as hard as they want, punch as hard as they want. That's it. There's no real girding to any of the stuff that we're seeing here. Now, that being said, I thought the ending in the Snyder Cut, I enjoyed that with Barry running, the whole, I'm gonna run faster than time. Of course, it makes you wonder, well, how the hell did they hit him in the first place if he was moving that fast? He seems to have no control. It's like he can't see something coming at him. But hey, he goes, he runs, he spins around, he runs as fast as he does, so he can turn things back. Great. And then he comes back and he does that, which makes you also wonder, well, how do you have this post-apocalyptic future? He couldn't run back and stop Lois Lane from being killed. And then again, goes back to the same thing. This is still a dark, evil Superman. Even when the day is won and we see him, okay, he looks more like classic Superman, except for the all-black suit, which they don't explain. We still have this apocalyptic future where, Superman, is taking carte blanche with the entire world, which is the problem that they set up in the first film. Okay, so those are still some big issues with how they render Superman. Overall, as a film, it was, just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here that you didn't need in order to make it to the theater. As much as I understand why Ray Fisher was so angry now, because they cut out a whole bunch of his scenes, but to be quite honest, it's not a Cyborg movie. And a lot of that stuff you see in a Cyborg film. All of that extra stuff that you saw, great for a Cyborg movie. You can't do a Cyborg movie in the Justice League movie. Everybody gets some light, unless you're a major character, then you're going to get some more light and some really cool scenes. But, they had Anna Paquin film scenes as Rogue for Days of Future Past, and none of them ever made it. We had to wait until you saw an extended cut someplace else, but none of them made it to the theatrical because it wasn't enough time, didn't serve the film. There's a lot of stuff in there that, yes, on HBO Max, you can enjoy yourself. You got 4 hours to kill, you can enjoy yourself. Inside of the theater, no, this stuff would have never worked. It would have, people, they would have got panned for it at the end of the day. But it's tough. If you enjoyed it, I can't see why you wouldn't enjoy this. It's more of the same. You like vanilla ice cream, I give you another scoop. What are you going to say? Ill? No, you're going to love it. So you got more over there. In terms of story, there's not really a lot there, and there wasn't a lot there to begin with. But, and I'll say this again, Josh Whedon, that cat deserves a medal. Okay, because anybody else would have probably looked at this and said, hell no, I'm staying as far away from this as possible. But then what's his name? Jeff Johns, like, hey, come on, do me a favor. He's probably like, no more favors for you, Jeff. We're done. Not doing it anymore. You see this stuff over here? You got me in here now? Look at this. This was an inextricable mess to try to get to the theater with the stuff that they had at this point. But it is what it is at this point right now. But the idea of a Whedon cut and a Snyder cut, you've got to be kidding me. This is one movie. This is Zack Snyder's movie. What you saw in the theaters is Zack Snyder's movie. What you saw over here. I don't know. It's really hard to put your finger on the pulse of it because there's no, again, like I said, there's no way that somebody who enjoyed, there's no way that somebody who enjoyed what they saw in the theater would not enjoy this. The problem is somebody who says, hey, what I saw in the theater sucked, and then they say this was better, or I enjoy this more than that other one. That's where, that's where it just becomes incredibly hard to swallow, when 80% of what you saw in the theater is exactly what you're saying you're enjoying now. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, thank you very much for all that, Cal. I mean, it's very interesting observations. Take it in a stride. I mean, Petey, can you, in your infinite wisdom, see any agree with any of the stuff that Cal was spouting over there? Because I mean,
it's not about this. I don't necessarily disagree. My only point is that if I don't disagree, but I think that one of the things I think is they had Superman in a black outfit, right? It's called the director's cut. So we're throwing out trying to do a full movie to say, hey, we're doing this version, whether it works in the science of things. Superman's in his black outfit. Why is he in this black outfit? Obviously, because he's gonna go bad, right? So then just do that cut where it ends on the cliffhanger saying, this was my cut. That it ended on that, and we're gonna go to part 2. And they're like, no, you can't do it. We gotta have that as a dream sequence and hint. And if there's interest, maybe we'll go back and we'll do a different version of it in Flashpoint or something like that. When it's like, he's in the black outfit. When he goes, he's Clark Kent and he opens up, he's still got the black outfit on. And then they have the dream sequence. It's like, come on, just you do that cut. Don't have a dream sequence and say, come back later. Or like they did with the Doom Patrol, write in and tell us if you want our Earth to be saved or something like that. That's what the cut is, but they chickened out. They had the dream and threw in these extra scenes for Martian Manhunter and whatnot. We're going to slip in Martian Manhunter for no good reason. This really worked with the cut. Like, it really helped. There was a real story point that was missing to connect to the damn Man of Steel again, with a guy who doesn't like aliens is an alien. It makes total sense. But I think that dark scene, which I hated the Flash thing, even when I saw it in Batman versus Superman, I'm saying, this is your movie. This is Zack Snyder's thing. So then do it. Let's figure out what happened to Wonder Woman and Aquaman, all that stuff. Set it up so you say that. And if you can't do anymore, you can't get these people back, they don't want to do it, then that's what it is. But this is what a director's cut is about, to do stuff that we didn't see, to explore different opportunities that they were planning on doing, but they still chickened out and had Batman. Of all people, Batman wakes up. We got this question, where did Superman go? Why does Superman still got a black outfit on? When you look at Superman, you see him in a black outfit. What does that mean to you? I know when he came back, he had a black outfit on, but that wasn't for the rest of his life. It wasn't going to be like, I'm walking around in this black outfit, which the movie's been trying to put him in for who knows how long. They got him in that. It's stories about him being dark. That okay, and it makes sense. The freaking, for those things, the mother boxes are evil. They're not evil in the comic books. They're actually nurturing and almost like a personal psychologist slash what's the name, iPad at the same time. But it's like a mother. That's why it's called mother box. It's not just like a motherboard. It's a mother box. It's both computer and sort of can heal you, all of the other stuff. That's what it is. But they made him evil and they recreated Superman. They tell him, don't do it. Here's the future. We saw all this future. Flash doesn't save everything. Dark future. End of story. That's the cut. They know what it is. Just do that. Why do they have the scene where what's the name? Cyborg sees everything's going dark. They had the dark scene in what's the name? Why is it a dream sequence? Mars, answer that question. Why is Superman in the black outfit?
It's a very, very simple answer. He saw what was going to happen when they revived Superman, all right, in the film. And he saw that's why it was too late that he wanted to stop it. But what ended up happening is that, he didn't stop it. And yeah, they went and they defeated Steppenwolf. But we know at the end, when Darkseid calls his minions together and said, hey, we got to go take care of this Earth. And then we see the epilogue that it does happen. So I don't see that. That's how I'm looking at it. And I think that's what most viewers are looking at it too, saying, hey, wow, this is what's going to happen. We see that they let Superman out. And we all know that the key to all this is Lois Lane not dying. And unfortunately, she will probably die, and the dark future will show up. And of course, our friend Darkseid will do his terrible stuff that he will to the earth.
Oh, that's the other thing. It
That's
has
because Superman helps him.
well, yeah, that's the other thing. To
I
have
feel like-
Darkseid win in this one means that he didn't lose twice, right? Because he lost twice in this story, and it turns him into the Super Friends Darkseid that just chases after Wonder Woman and loses all the time. So that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna have it, then it makes a bigger scheme for Darkseid because he had this plot. It's like, hey, they didn't because they hinted at like saying, oh no, they, they weren't afraid of the Kryptonian. They possibly were waiting for something like this to happen somehow. But
I got to bring a little sanity to this whole mad discussion right here.
you're not answering my question.
Snyder Cut is now.
Because it can't be answered.
I answered it already. I told you.
No, you didn't. Why is he in the black suit?
Why is he in a black suit?
Why is he in a black suit?
Why did Spider-Man get a black suit?
That's
not an answer. That's a deflection.
The great darkness from the beginning. They were using that line from the freaking Legion of Superheroes. He's in a dark outfit. The great darkness, the whole thing in there. It's all set up for this thing that they planned. They needed Superman. They used the mother boxes, which are evil, to recreate him. He becomes a bad guy. If that's my movie, I'm Zack Snyder, and then I'm chickening out. I'm going to the suits and saying, this is what we were planning to do. We're planning to make it go dark. And no, but if you do a cliffhanger, then we have to do another movie. Yes, and that's what you want. It's like, but it's the Snyder Cut. Just do it.
The epilogue is the
No, it's a dream sequence.
It's not a dream sequence.
So if they don't do it, like Cal said, they can say, well, it was just a Snyder Cut. And we closed ended it.
Snyder said there was no plans. The suits and AT&T had no plans to make it. But if it's successful, who knows? That's exactly what he said in an interview. But when you look at the epilogue, it gives you the roadmap of what's going to happen. We see that combined with what happened with Batman when he's told by the Flash. We see that combined with the insight that Cyborg gets when he's about to drop them out the mother box, and then we see the end of the epilogue. My friends, that's a very simple timeline. There's no question. There's no bizarre. There is a possibility, and we see Darkseid say, "Gather the armies or the minions or whatever, and we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way." So we see this thing is going to continue. This was just Act 1, and if everything works out okay, he's going to get a second Snyder Cut, and then a second.
You can't have another Snyder Cut. You have to have just a regular movie. You mean he's going to have a cut that someone else takes from him?
Well, we're going to
have. Thank you, Petey. Thank you. This was the reason why Snyder got off this film. Snyder got off this film for two reasons, whether people want to be frank about it or not. One, he did have his family issue, but two, he didn't have the confidence of the studio. When he begged off on this, these guys were like, okay. They didn't say, hey, take as much time as you need. We're going to pause this, and then we'll let you come back to it. They were like, great, he's off. Let's get him off. Okay, maybe we can attach Whedon's name onto this. We get some Avengers people in here and go. But by that time, you had already exhausted the audiences who had seen his work and didn't care for it. You had hardcore people who were good for a certain amount of money, but he couldn't crack the money that they were looking for. And so they were like, okay. So when this whole thing came down, it was like, fine. But you had you got these Snyder exponents who were like, no, this was terrible, and it's Joss Whedon's fault. Okay. Forget the 80% that was Snyder. That 20% right over there, that's why this movie sucked and that's why it sank. If he had the opportunity to do his own cut, no problem. We get a pandemic. We get people who are not going to theaters, are going to be home. He gets a soft vehicle that can get his film out there, okay? And these guys are really just putting out what's already been paid for. So they can see the money. They're like, okay, fine. But a new film with new money? Hell no. And Petey's right. He chickened out. The whole idea was that he had this idea. This guy had an idea where Superman was going to die. Lois Lane and Batman were going to be in a relationship. Batman was going to knock up Lois Lane. Batman was going to die. Lois Lane was then going to give birth to Batman's son, who would then be the new Batman, from Lois Lane, that type of stuff. These are his ideas. Okay? I'm not making this up, and I'm not slating him. These are his ideas. And at some point, someone was like, no, these things aren't working. We don't want to do this. But this largely was free money. So, this didn't depend on putting asses in seats. This did not depend on a whole hefty amount of promotion. And you can always go and say, oh, yeah, the whole thing got shut down. There was so much traffic. Yeah, that's never happened before. It didn't happen. Oh, yeah, it did. It was called Coming to America, too. So it's not like these things aren't, this is some new phenomenon of a whole bunch of people wanting to see it with greater bandwidth than these guys can necessarily provide. If that happened for a week, I could understand. But initially, yeah, we can expect that to happen. But the idea was you get a chance to show your vision, not to hedge it. You're supposed to show your vision. If these aren't dream sequences. You keep saying, how many of these things do you show? Batman has the nightmare. Okay. Then we see Cyborg having the nightmare. And then we're going to see the nightmare again at the end. But these are all just dreams at the end of these are all just dreams at the end of the day. And none of this needs to happen because we've already been shown that you have a character that can go back in time, okay, to change any of this stuff if necessary. So how does this dream keep happening? So that means this is something that we can't stop, which means it's fruitless to keep showing it at the end of the day. However, that much thought and that much depth into any work by Zack Snyder, I think is unnecessary. As much as he tries to play this off as these things that are of supreme gravitas, they're not. They're punch 'em up, shoot 'em up fests. Okay, and the people who like punch 'em up, shoot 'em up fests support this with great fervor, and the general public says, I didn't really care for it.
I don't know. I think the general public right now, if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores, it is a pretty high mark right now relative.
It's 77 the last time I checked.
No,
that's a B movie.
Let's go with that.
Justice League
was go with that BS that you're.
Justice League was at 40%. Okay, all right. So let's get that right.
Why do you keep calling it Whedon's Justice League when we've already established that this is Zack Snyder's film?
But no, he didn't get to do his interpretation of it. We didn't cut out some of his vision, and that's why it came.
Because he left the film. What was supposed to happen? He left the film. They were waiting on, and then they're telling.
And then he worked.
We didn't come on and say, okay, I'm getting rid of this. That's 80% of that film is there. So the other 20% is what they asked Whedon to do.
He changed it. He changed the narrative.
So
he changed the direction.
no, let's go with what Mars is saying. Here we go, right? We got this thing, we got this nonsense. Look at it. The reviewers somehow gave it a 74. And then the audience almost 100%.
Mind you,
silence.
I'm not one of the audience, so I have yet to put in my input.
I'm saying that this is just total. This is some Fraganacle BS.
What?
Come on.
And we will get the same thing over time, because what happened over time, it used to be the initial reaction that was closed, and that was the reaction to the film, because you didn't get to have a reaction. 50 years later, people like, no, this is the reaction to the film. You give it
League selector.
You give it time. You give it time. That all changes.
Now look at this.
40%. It was panned by the.
But the audience score, even though it's a drop, it's not that negative, right? The audience is like, it's just an okay movie. This is a like 2.5 movie, right? That's what it's not the actual average when you go 5, but that's basically what it is.
71 to 96. That's a humongous difference, bro.
It is, but it's not in the negative.
I didn't go to school here in the United States, but here a 71 is like a C and a 96 is an A. Okay.
I'm saying
didn't we already establish the only time that you go to Rotten Tomatoes is so you can slate a film, which is what Mars just did?
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
We already established the only time you bring out Rotten Tomatoes or Cinema Score is so you can pound on a film. That's it. You don't do it for any other reason. There's no legitimacy there.
Oh my gosh! You are absolutely nuts. The truth of the matter is, there's a huge audience. A lot of people liked it. I think that it's
there is not a huge audience. Okay, if there was a huge audience, this dude would be doing $1 billion box office. What he has is a dedicated audience and one that is pretty vocal, but huge, no.
And this is the key thing. Did it do what it needed for HBO Max? It brought a lot of interest to HBO Max. It brought additional subscribers to HBO Max.
Will it do better than Godzilla versus King Kong? There's your question.
Ooh, that was
right.
Nasty.
Batman v Superman came out, and Batman v Superman had 3 weeks to itself. 3 weeks to itself, okay, and it was making all of this money because there was nothing else there, even though it was terrible. But that was it. It was a train wreck, and people wanted to come out. And what was the film that knocked it off and did better box office at the end of the day? The Jungle Book. Okay, remember that Oscar-winning movie, The Jungle Book? But that was all it took. People wanted a palate cleanser that much, and then that was it. It was gone. Didn't make the numbers it was supposed to. Even though it made a good amount of money, that was it.
Revisionist history.
What?
That sounds like revisionist history to me.
No, you want to go? You can go do your box office at Rotten Tomatoes, and that'll be the end of that. So you can get the history on. But I was there for it, just like you were. Batman v Superman had 3 weeks to itself. Actually, a lot of those Snyder projects had let me not say a lot, but I know Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, they had no competition. They were just dropping these films, and guys were not putting films up against them because they were like, hey, we don't want to compete with these films. These are big box office films, so we don't want to do that, right? But then they saw, look, we're leaving these guys. These films are getting panned, okay? But they've got like the whole month of August, the whole month of March to themselves. They're making all this money, even though they're getting panned. We're not doing it anymore, okay? And then you have to look at the releases afterwards, and then you get a better idea of it at the end of the day. But again, for the record, it is completely disingenuous to call these two different films. It's same film. You get 80% of the same movie, and it was horrible. It was terrible. They take that same 80%, put it with more of the same stuff. Oh, this is much better. It just doesn't work. Not for me. That's where you stop being an exponent and you start being like more of a fanboy at the end of the day. You have to be honest about what you saw in the theater and then what you're seeing over here. It's the same thing that you saw there with a lot more. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that just didn't make any sense. That Martian Manhunter scene, but men call me the... I'm like, well, wait a second here. Why are you were the same guy who were trying to get after Superman, and you're an alien too? That revisionist history, that retcon, that seems like Snyder was just there. He saw some stuff on the on the internet, like, hey, I got a theory. This guy's really the Martian Manhunter. It's like, yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Give that up for the fans. Bunch of nonsense. Just like, let's just throw this stuff in here, okay? Because I've got all these ideas, and we're just gonna throw every idea in here. But the people, okay, who support it are happy with that at the end of the day. Unfortunately, that's not enough people.
Well, you look at
you're saying a lot of stuff in terms of the retconning and stuff like that. Snyder said that he had always intended for that character to be the Martian Manhunter.
And you believe him?
Why wouldn't I?
Why would you?
Why wouldn't I?
I think storytelling wise, if we go to this, that's what I'm saying. The crux of the story is that we have Superman, bringing Superman back, and then they added in the thing to not bring in Superman, connecting to Batman v Superman, the stuff Flash said about Lois. And then next thing you know, we bring him back. He's in black. They do this. They survive. They save the day, go back home, and then another dream sequence. And we're like, and that's something Batman had, which I guess connected Batman v Superman. But it's like, that's the story. If that's your story, follow it through. Don't chicken out with the dream sequence when there's no reason why Batman would have another dream sequence if there was people trying to contact him both times. The other time, was he sleeping? No, wasn't he in the Batcave or something like that? I can't remember. It's so long ago. But it's like, if you're saying story-wise, it's much better. What you're saying, the graphics on what's the name was better?
This is what I'm saying. You see, and I don't mean to cut you off, Petey.
Okay.
I wanted to cut off Cal badly, but kept on going. But what I wanted to point out is that, if you wanted to see the second part to this, it's very similar to Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. What's going to happen? He's going to come back. He's going to kick butt. He's going to get some of the capture some of the Justice League members.
Darkseid.
He's
going to come back in what movie?
And whoop him. I'm just saying, there's a movie that's similar to this. What happens when Darkseid wins? And that's Justice League, the animated Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
Yeah, that sucked too.
That wasn't bad. So and Justice League.
Nope. That sucked.
See,
sorry to tell you.
Again, let's go back to PD. Put up Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see what Rotten Tomatoes says about that.
Because about what?
I've heard some positive reviews.
Justice League War. What was it called?
Apocalypse War. APOKOLIPS War.
All right.
Yeah. So it sucks. So
Oh my goodness, this is unheard of.
I'm right again, right? Oh man.
100%.
For the critics, 91% for the audience, and yet you stand out alone. As they say, the cheese stands alone, bro.
Again, the only reason why the Rotten Tomatoes, okay, or Cinema Score is to slate something. That's it. Otherwise, you can make your own points on your own. You don't need to go there.
But it just reinforces that they're more than just one person.
I don't need to go to Cinema Score or Rotten Tomatoes to make my point. Okay, I'm perfectly capable, perfectly well educated to make my points without having to be supported by a nondescript group of people who have decided to do that over there. Now, I understand why you don't want to do that. Okay, that's fair. But I will point it out every time that you do it. I'm making my point, okay, strictly on my own, my own 2 feet, and you are leaning on the internet.
And I'm leaning on the majority, not the one individual. That's the point I'm trying to make. So look, I'm just saying there is.
What did Jay-Z say? We don't believe you. You need more people.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. You had to keep going, get more. But not, I mean, I'm not posting that stuff up to say I agree. I'm just saying it's total nonsense. To sit around here and say 100%, this is like from the critics. They just sat there and said yes. They're just happy to see something. Like Batman versus Robin is 100%.
Yo, bro, we're not talking about that, okay? We're talking about this.
Everything closes.
That, okay? But this is what we're talking about.
That film gave you a lot of the same. You have some cool moments. You have a apocalyptic future, and you also have no ending. They didn't have the stones to end it. They decided, hey, we're just going to go and have the Flash run back in time and undo all of this because the story that they wrote, there's no continuation from it. There's no catharsis at the end of the story. And so they're like, look, we're just going to undo the whole thing and we're going to start it. We don't know how to end this. So we're just going to do a story. And then we'll say, well, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because the Flash is just going to undo all of this anyway. That was your story. This is the story that you're saying, yeah, 100% of the people liked it. So, okay. All right. I don't know how many people necessarily that meant, but this was the story that these guys are saying was great. This is the story that leads to nothing at the very end. That was the excellent story.
Okay, so listen, the question I have to ask you guys here, let's get it together. What about the characters in the story? Any particular character stood out for either one of you in this movie? Petey?
Characters that stood out for me, despite the hardships that Martha Kent was going through, I think she's still hot under all of that get up. I don't care how Superman mom is older than whatever, and she's still holding up with the coat and the overalls and whatnot, even as what's the name, as Martian Manhunter, still holding up. Gotta give it to you, Martha. No wonder the two people were fighting over you in the last film. Oh no, that was because of their mother. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. What else did I like it? I mean, this is the thing. The stuff I liked, I think they kind of extended too long. In the first cut, I liked the Wonder Woman scene. I think seeing her with the little girls didn't help anything for me. Because why is this girl like, girl, get up? Yeah, I'm not gonna have this touching moment. Just get out of here. We just had a big explosion. Get out of here. So there was that. Joe Morton. I will give it that. I will give you Joe Morton. I'm not saying it was much different than what we saw before, but I really was appreciating. Like, you know what, Joe Morton is usually the guy that destroys the whole planet with his science stuff. But in actuality, he was fun. He kind of did cool stuff when the paradigms were tossing him around. He made you believe that there were these monsters there. I like that they had him. Of course, they wouldn't get rid of him, but he led to a way for them to follow the cube, which is not necessarily needed, but that was okay. But then I'm saying, well, that was good. I'm like, what the hell is this Asian dude doing over here, doing all this bad acting? I'm like, this guy is terrible. His guy in the lab. And then I'm like, wait a second. We get to the end and it says, was it Ryan Choi? And I'm like, Oh no, this is why Byrne gets his the thank you because he co-created what's that thing? The New Adam with it's Morrison, Gail Simone, and what's the name? But they got the worst actor on the planet to play this New Adam. You don't remember the Asian guy?
Yeah, but I'm not.
I am Ryan Choi. I am Ryan Choi, the
I
new
thought he did a
director.
fine job. I thought he did a fine job. I see
He
no
did
problem.
not do a fine job. Joe
I
Morgan
thought-
killing it, and it made him look even worse. He was.
I thought
terrible.
he did a fine job.
I thought he did a fine job.
Terrible.
Steppenwolf. I mean, don't you guys think that there was more with Steppenwolf? There's more development of his
You're
character.
gonna make me curse, aren't you? I want to
Yep.
use it. I want to make me curse and say all they did was add some metal-ish around him, so it's like Transformers and a little bit of flourishing going on there. It's like I didn't mind. I don't care about the graphics because the whole point, if you're gonna do two movies, which they of course changed, Darkseid will be coming next. So give me this guy who's going to die, and I like the fact how he died in the original one because it wasn't about them just winning. They had him kind of beat. He wasn't beaten, but his own doubt caused the parademons to go after him. And then that means the doubt would lead to Darkseid and shows you how much power this guy has. This one, Darkseid comes, he gets his ass kicked twice. The head chopped off. Like, yeah, there's some cool shots of Steppenwolf and what he really looked like and whatnot. But
Mars wants him to come back for a third film so he can lose 3 times.
What character stood out for you, Cal?
Wow, that's tough.
how did they make Desaad look cool though? They made
Strangely enough,
Desaad.
That was cool.
Cyborg.
There we go.
Strangely enough, Cyborg. I said, you know what? The stuff that they had over there with Cyborg, that would have made an interesting film for Cyborg if they had taken it out of here and given it that particular treatment. I was like, okay. And you got a lot of development with this character. Unfortunately,
Oh God.
unfortunately, it's just not. There's no room for it in the Justice League movie. You're just not the big enough character for this type of thing. This is not Justice League, the dawn of Cyborg. It's supposed to be the unification of these guys into a major team. We don't necessarily get it. We didn't necessarily get it for Aquaman. We sure as heck didn't get it for the Flash. I don't see why we needed to have. I mean, we got a lot of stuff for Cyborg. There was a lot of stuff there. So for whatever reason, Snyder felt that we needed to have more of an introduction to that character for obvious reasons. And with this, with the cut, yeah, you do get that. But
Snyder said he was the heart of the movie. That's one of the reasons there. He felt that he had to put Cyborg. Cyborg was the heart of it. So that's what he said in some interviews.
I don't know. I don't give a lot of shrift to what Zack Snyder has to say, because Zack Snyder will say one thing one day and then he'll say something else the next day. He'll interview and say something one day and then something else the next day, depending on who's interviewing. I mean, that's not me saying that he's prevaricating, but I'm not too sure how. I mean, this is a guy who makes films. He's not a politician or somebody who has to stay. If he says something one day and contradicts himself, nobody's really going to take him to task for it. So, he's contradicted himself too many times for me to give him a lot of script with what he says. But I did think the stuff they did with Cyborg, yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with that. And, hey, if it was his own film, we probably would have gotten to see more of it.
I mean, come on, man. You guys are missing some of the big characters. Like I said, Steppenwolf, Darkseid, having him come out there, walking in his palace in Apocalypse, talking to Desaad. I mean, come on. It's like you guys. It's like Thanos did the same thing. You guys, Thanos.
So let's not do comparisons. So that's who you like with Steppenwolf now and Darkseid. That's what you like.
Those two of the characters that stood out for me.
Anyone else?
I thought Cyborg also because of what he did. I thought Superman was mostly played roughly the same. Batman was roughly played mostly the same. We had more
villain.
We had Flash. Flash came out. I think more of a story was developed around Flash. Aquaman, I wish there was more, but I mean, he did a very successful movie. I think to me, the biggest part that I liked about this movie, and one of the things that to me hurt, like the Wonder Woman movie, is that she's a god killer. That's what she was named in the first movie, right? And you see how she comes out and she's so powerful and she's kicking butt. You see the Amazons also involved in the first movie. You see them also against when they were the whole dark side thing. I just can't, to me, understand why in this second movie of Wonder Woman, it's like they dialed her back. They dialed back her power. They dialed back her
Here
opponents.
we go.
Oh, good, sweet. What is she gonna do? She's gonna kill it.
Woman?
She's gonna kill a god every movie. Come on.
Why are we going into saying, hey, this was so good because Wonder Woman was so bad?
Right. Hey, this was excellent. Wonder Woman chopped off somebody's head, so she's keeping up with her god-killing ways, even though the guy was defeated.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was really nutty. Like, we're sending you back. Well, before you send them back, I will just...
It was coolness in effect, baby. Everybody liked it.
It's chick spite.
All right, so look, overall, we liked the movie, right? It was very interesting. We definitely got a...
What do you mean? We're not done? We're not done?
What do you mean we're not done?
No,
What else was there to add? Okay, the only major criticism that I'm getting from you two is that the pacing was a little slow, you know?
No,
After that, what else
there was more said than that. Okay. One of the things that, again, if you look at the theatrical cut, we actually got Superman. Okay, we actually got traditional Superman at the end of the film. He was there. Snyder Cut, no. We still have Superman who is not fully formed, and this guy is still a potential villain at the end of the day. He cannot. This guy has this. It's almost erotic, on borderlining erotic at the end of the day. This fixation he has with an evil Superman.
And that's why I would say that it's okay. Sorry, you go.
No, you go.
No, I'm saying that's why just do the full cut where Superman, they don't fix it, the world goes dark, right? You don't get to do your, I guess they're gonna do the Luthor thing later or whatever it was gonna be, because they hint in the Batman movie. But it's like, just have him go bad, or like have it being a secret thing of Darkseid and call it a day, because that's the movie you're making. Call it a day. Uh-oh. No, broke Mars.
No, you didn't, bro. I've heard your argument several times now.
Okay, you're saying I repeated myself, so I'm going to say it one more time.
All right, look, the characters, another point I want to make about is the characters. These were the original characters that he chose. Do you guys still believe in them? Do you think they should have movies once again? Aquaman, yes or no?
Aquaman had a movie.
Yeah, what can I say yes or no?
What
can I say yes? What can I say yes or no to for that?
Yes.
Wonder Woman already got 2 movies.
Yes.
We were okay with the second one.
Should we have a third?
You're gonna have a third. He made too much money.
Okay.
Lastly, I thought Cyborg should have been the movie because he had a great voice, and that's ruined.
Should we have Ben Affleck come back? Should he be the Batman?
He could do if he wants to. Like what he's been Affleck.
Do you like him as a Batman?
You know where my charger is?
They have what's the name? They have freaking Deathstroke in there. They got a cool Deathstroke, Batman and Deathstroke movie. That's what we're supposed to get. Why would everything, all bets are off just because the Justice League didn't work? What's wrong with the Deathstroke and Batman movie?
You got to get another one.
I know, but I'm saying this is what I'm trying to say. It's that you had great potential. You had some good actors in some of these roles. I'm a 50-50 on Flash. You know, I don't like the way that electricity looks. I don't like the way he moves in terms of speed. But I do like Wonder Woman. I do like if he was more like Silver, I think I would like the show. I would like him better. You know, I just don't like that whole the look and the cut up outfit that he got. You know, that's the one character I'm not that crazy about. I'm not that crazy about the movie. But of course, Flash. But they're going to be having a Flashpoint movie. You know, but I think that the point I'm trying to get to is that Snyder picked some pretty good actors from Cable onward to play these iconic roles. You know, Cable, and to play iconic roles.
What Cable? Who's Cable?
Not Cable. Cable. Okay.
Oh, Cable. Okay.
To play these iconic roles, and you want to interrupt me one more time before I finish this thought?
Yeah, sure. Because I still got some more Superman stuff I'm going to get out.
No, we got to end this. I can't.
No.
End this.
Never over.
Superman stuff. You said that I repeated the same thing.
You're like, this one? Are you serious?
You saying I repeated. I was like, we can't go to another Superman thing. They screwed up Superman. We got it.
They screwed up Superman?
And they continue to do it. This guy does not believe in heroism. He does not. You don't save people. You just punch people all around. That's it. People don't matter.
He did a good job. You see how his powers were? I was like, wow, you're going to like this. I thought you would like it. The use of his powers, kicking people
What's
up.
the use of his powers? What is the use of his powers if he's not using them to help anybody?
He helped the world by stopping
himself.
That was the same mistake they made in the first movie. Oh, he saved us. Nobody saw him do anything. He's on the other side of the planet. Nobody knows what the heck is going on. And the first thing we see when we see Superman come back, do the people go, oh, wow, Superman is back? No. These guys look, oh, no, there must be some threat. They start firing on him. It's crazy. It's no different. It's Man of Steel, okay? I just know how to make him look cooler when he flies now. I'm going to give you some nice, tight close-up shots. And hey, you see that colorful outfit? The hell with that. We're going with basic black. Why? Because it looks cool. There's no reason behind it. It's not like the comic where, okay, this was the regeneration suit he was in, and he didn't have he was so busy trying to get back to help people, he didn't have a chance to change it to his proper outfit, so he had to stay there. No, they just put it in the black because it looks cool. That's it. That's it at the end of the day. But I'm being told by people that this is still the best Superman who's ever existed. That Cable deserves another shot. He deserves another shot in the Superman suit because of everything that we've seen over here. Well, you tell me. Okay, what are we seeing over here that this guy should get another shot with this toxic Superman that I've been given? And another thing. No, I'm stopped. I'm good.
I think that he should deserve it.
Can we close this show, please?
That's up to you, Mars.
Okay, so thank you once again, everybody. I'll just give a quick synopsis of our ideas of the show.
Don't do it.
Once again, the crew is in agreement, and the Snyder was a seminal event.
Even you don't believe it. You couldn't even get out seminal event. You couldn't even do it. You talking like the Fonz. I was wrong.
Which brought viewers back to HBO Max to show that that Warner Brothers has a viable DC lineup. That shows that not only that Snyder may have another film future with DC. If this turns out to be successful, as many of us think,
An alternate future with DC? You said another future. That means
Snyder may have another future with DC.
Oh, I see where he's going with it. Okay, so they're gonna let Zack Snyder continue his in an alternate universe, and then DC is gonna be dumb enough to dilute their brand to the point that you can't get people out and get concentrated money on anything, because you're gonna have one faction here, one faction here, one faction here. Not like TV, okay, where the money's already baked in. No, you're gonna lose money because you're gonna have these cats over here who totally reject the brand that you're offering for this guy over here. So he has a stranglehold on these characters, and he eventually is gonna tell you guys what to do. I don't think so.
All right,
I don't think they're that dumb.
I don't think you quite understand. The characters that the Snyderverse, and I call it the Snyderverse, giving him full control of this. The Snyderverse, you're talking about the movies that have been made.
Snyder from One Day at a Time? That's Snyder?
No, not that Snyder. But Snyder, all the movies now from the Batman movies are based on that. The Aquaman movies are based on the Snyderverse. The Wonder Woman movies are based on the Snyderverse. The Flashpoint movie based on the Snyderverse. So I don't understand how you guys are saying, oh, this is not something that's there. It's the verse that he created, and it's going to be successful. We're going to have an additional Aquaman movie. We're going to have an additional Wonder Woman
No,
movie.
it's going to end.
Flash.
They're moving towards that Flash movie. That Flash movie is going to happen because they know that's the only way they can end this and get away from him. They need something to reboot, and they said, we can do it with this Flash movie. That's the only reason why that movie is happening.
He's one of the producers of that movie. Do you know that?
Yes, I know he's one of the producers. And the people above him also know we can't get rid of him as a producer until we get that movie out. So we got to get this movie out. So we're going to let him do this. Why? One of the reasons why he's still there is because he's still making the money. Okay, one of the reasons why he's still Dougie Bruce, because he's still making money. One of the reasons why his vision is even filtered over to that Superman and Lois thing on CW is because he's still making the money. These guys need to get rid of him, but they can't get rid of him until they get these films out of the pipe. And as soon as you see that is done, you already see you already see it percolating. You already see, hey, we got J.J. Abrams coming over here to reboot, and we're not using Henry Cavill for it. And no, he's not. This is a reboot, so I don't got to follow anything that Snyder's doing. They're trying to get away from this dude. They thought they were out with Justice League, but again, he has a very vocal following, and they were like, hey, why not? We can get some free money over here. So they're trying to get away from this cat. They're not trying to dig in deeper.
Well, we'll see how the success of this. I mean, there's a big crew out there who will follow. So, like I said, everybody, thanks for showing up here for the Cinerack. If you like what we talk, what we say, please comment, give it a thumbs up. Okay, please, no hate mail towards Cal on this thing regarding this the Snyder Cut.
Oh, whatever, bring it on.
Cinerack
Out.
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 I try to help you, man.